Today's episode of Round Guy Radio is brought to you by the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team that you can see all their games live on Round Guy Radio this year, starting February 15th. And from here on out, every winner of the player of the game is going to get 2 tickets to a Cedar Rapids Titans game of their choice this year. We also have the Packwood Locker and Smithsburg Auto and Henshaw Trailer Sales. We also have Andy Krutsinger of the Southeast Iowa Union. Andy, I talked to A.J. Johnson this morning about the West Side, and I think you can fill in a big slice of the Round Guy Radio land today with a little commentary about what's been going on. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a week or so, a couple weeks maybe since I talked to you. We'll just first I want to kind of get an overall picture of you. Who do you think overall has a chance here in the upper division to finish first or second, you think?
Sure. Well, you mean does that just any class together?
Well, you got all these. I mean, I know there's so many different districts and sizes, but pick out the ones you think that you're covering that got the chance to finish near the top.
Yeah, well, for sure. Well, that would definitely bring me to Friday night, Winfield, Iowa, because the Super Conference North Division is one of those where going into it, there were 4 or 5 teams I could have seen being the best team in the division. They just a lot of teams that were on the same skill level, and so far it's been Hillcrest Academy who's come out on top. They have not lost a SEISC North game. They did lose to Keota, so another one of our teams, but a non-super conference team. And they're playing at Winfield-Mount Union, a team that's only got 3 losses, only 1 in conference. That is on Friday night. So the winner of that will have, either it'll be a Hillcrest will get a commanding lead of the North, or Winfield-Mount Union would tie it up. Hillcrest beat WMU 53-40 up in Kelowna earlier this year. So that's kind of our area's big game. By the way, shout out to Clay Edwards, got his 100th win as the Winfield head coach this last Tuesday in Lone Tree. So
outstanding.
Those are our big 2 right now as far as conference championship race.
Well, that is outstanding. Yeah, I've been seeing Hillcrest. I just did their game Tuesday night. They look awesome to me. We've seen the game with Fairfield. Fairfield played incredibly well in that game, but to come up, it's about another like the Van Buren game where they didn't really play bad, but they couldn't get the win, and Hillcrest shoots free throws. It's like an unbelievable. It seems like they hit 92% of their free throws there, and especially at the end of the game, they hit them all. They just don't miss nothing. The Bailey kid is terrific. Rowan Miller is about as smart a player as I've seen this year, and this new kid, this Gerald Scott, he seems really talented, doesn't he?
Yeah, Gibson Scott and the 2 down low, Bailey and Scott, are just, first off, they're just so stinking lanky there. It was amazing. I watched them against Waco, and Waco isn't the tallest, lankiest team in the world. You might hear my dog bark because I just came home, but it's like, man, you can't even get an inside shot against those guys because you drive in and there's 4 long arms flying over you, and Hillcrest has been so good at scoring inside. And then you're right, if they can hit their free throws, then that's a kind of a concoction for winning basketball games. So it'll be interesting because, and of course they played already, but Winfield-Mount Union is one of those teams, the few teams that have also that size inside, where you'll see a lot of down low battles.
Yeah, it was a down low game, man. I mean, they play so good together, and the coaches that I talk about too always say that they make you pay for mistakes more than anyone does. But Fairfield did give them a great game. Fairfield's playing a lot of really good games, and they're getting some wins, but it's rough out there this year for about anybody. People's schedule, if you're one of these Van Burens or New Londons, man, good luck with the district that they're in there. But New London is got a couple wins back to back, and I'm really impressed with the way they're playing. But back to this game with Winfield. Now, Winfield, their scoring has been up and down this year. They've had some over 70-point performances, and they've had some 30-point performances, but their defense is never allowing points. I mean, one of the games they lost here recently, they only get 51 points. Commonly 30 points is all you're going to get against them. And I've even seen 29 or stuff like that. The defense for Winfield-Mount Union is good.
Yeah, that's how they beat Lone Tree. Actually, they beat Lone Tree 44-36. Gave up 2 points in the first quarter, 8 in the second quarter. So Lone Tree had to battle to get to double digits before halftime, and that has really been kind of Winfield's calling card a little bit. Just being such a stout defensive team that they don't need to score a million points. Even a few years ago, when they were state tournament team, a lot of that was like you just can't score on these guys, and they didn't have to put up huge numbers against you because they just kind of suffocated you on defense. So I'll be interested. And of course, the flip side is true for both, where Hillcrest Academy's roster is the answer to that, because they've got the kids down low that can do things that a lot of the other teams can't, because you get into Woodfield, you're getting bullied down low, and you can't score with the basket. So it's a cool little matchup where both teams kind of have the same strengths.
Well, yeah, Winfield, they got a record to be proud of. They did get a loss to Holy Trinity on the road there, but that's it's a conference, but it's north and south deal. But in the north, they've been handling business pretty well. We had them on at the Waco game, and boy, they looked good in that game. The defense played good, and the offense put up enough points for them to win. Well, and Clay Edwards is getting his 100th win. That's pretty nice to hear. But I don't know. Is that about enough about them, or?
Yeah, well, I would also say that they did have a tough schedule with who they were playing at home and on the road. But yeah, they beat Waco, they beat Pekin, so
yeah, everybody but Hillcrest.
Yeah, this would be this is definitely like a
I got one more thing to say about Hillcrest. One, it's tough to play there. I've never ever I'm there a few times a year for the last 5 years. I've never seen them lose at home ever.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
The thing that they got there that I noticed is the coolest is the pep band. Damn, that pep band lays down a beat. You know what I mean? They don't got no singer, but they got guitar players and bass players and drummers, and they just get out there and thump it and keep that halftime thing going. And it's unique. I don't ever see anybody else have that kind of rock and roll band kind of thing that they got going there, but I like it.
Yeah, there's just it's a special atmosphere at Hillcrest. It's just different, It's like it's like you're walking into a different decade or something when you go in there. And I think it's really cool when you walk from like the entrance of the concession stand area into the game, how you kind of can peek into the court before you see the stands. I think it's a really cool setup over there. So.
And it's always packed every time. Oh,
yeah.
It is like going to the 1970s. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of gyms I played in and stuff like that. So anyway, let's go to Waco. Let's finish this Super Conference North thing out. Waco and Pekin. Waco wins the opening night tilt at Waco, but Pekin gets it back. Pekin's going to be on Round Guy Radio today. The JV game for sure, and I'm a little iffy on the varsity game. It just depends on what's going on. But we're going to definitely give you the JV game at 4:45 over at the Rec Center. But we're dubbing this the Jefferson County Championship, first ever. Whoever wins tonight is going to be, the Jefferson County champion. And I know that's a big title, and I like to promote stuff and make up stuff. And I had an opportunity to do both of them at the same time here. But let's, I guess, talk about Waco, and then talk about Pekin. Waco and Pekin.
Yeah. So Waco and Pekin They played the other day, and Pekin was able to get that win. They both got 3 losses in the North right now, so neither of them are out of it, especially because there are a few teams that can beat each other. But Waco's got really shifty guard play. They put a lot of pressure on you, when you're dribbling the ball up, and so they're just kind of fans. And you know what? Something about the North teams, in my opinion, is that all of their home court advantages, there's just something different about each one of, Hillcrest, or you get a Winfield where it kind of seems packed in, or Waco. My favorite thing about the Waco gym is that in the second half you're shooting against the basket where there's a bunch of middle schoolers heckling you behind the basket because of the stands behind there. So yeah, Waco and Pekin are both very in the North Division Championship because it's not one of those situations where Winfield and Hillcrest are playing and and they're not going to lose anymore after today or anything. There's definitely games where teams can battle in the North. And yeah, and then Pekin plays at Fairfield tonight. My right hand man Jack Knowlton will be there covering it for the Union, and that should be a pretty wild one. You got Pekin, a team that has a lot of experience playing together. They got some of the best athletes playing together, and but no one is quite the athlete that you got in the two guys in Fairfield with Bisgard running the show and Zillman flying around. I saw Fairfield Mount Pleasant the other day in the first two baskets of the game. I think it was Drew Myers on the very first possession. It was a little bit of a fast break. He just tossed that thing up in the air. It looked like to nobody, and Zillman came flying like a superhero and hit an alley dunk, and then he dunked it like 30 seconds later. And so, for Fairfield, it's like, man, they do have that talent, but they haven't been able to pull out a big win. Not really a big win since the Fort Madison game. Since the Fort Madison game where they got that SEC win. So it's a huge couple days for Fairfield here, peaking in the first ever Jefferson County Championship, as you say, and they got the Bloodhounds coming in one night later on Friday.
Yeah, and they have a couple players they didn't have last time, and Marcus. Well, they got this Foy kid that's playing again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's the big kid, and then Nolan Guzman is who I was thinking of. I think he was sick last time they played, so they'll be in full force. But Fairfield's playing good. I think I'm excited about tonight's game. Eli Zillman, man, he gets so high up there. I think he gets his chin over the rim. I mean,
Yeah.
I never seen anybody like him. He's so electric, and we're going to be excited to see those kids tonight. And I want to thank I got a friend there of the Friends of the Trojans that's sponsoring this game, and I thank them. And that's been going pretty well, finding friends to cover these games. So, well, what else? Who else is in the North there? What about Columbus? You cover Columbus, don't you?
I sure do. Columbus. We knew that Columbus was going to be on the come up a little bit this year, where they're starting to compete with the top teams. Now they had a tough one the other day against Hillcrest, but they've had games where they've been playing tight. I think. Let me look. I think they're fifth right now in the standings. They're kind of the team that is just below that first little quartet of championship contenders, and see who Columbus has this week too. That would be interesting.
Well, they got Highland, and it's going to be on Round Guy Radio Friday. Hey, we're trying to be there for their 7th win. That would be a significant, almost historical mark for them, because I think they haven't had more than 6 wins in 20 years or something like that, or near that territory. So 7 wins would be a new territory for them. And they've got a winning record, and I think, and if they could get this one, they stretch that winning record out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is Columbus is above 500 for the first time in a long time. Highland last year wasn't getting these last couple years, hasn't gotten any wins in the conference, and they've gotten 2 already. So very similar stories there. They both also have a couple of longtime starters that kind of lead the way with both of them. And so yeah, Highland's been kind of on a roll. I mean, they've fought close with a couple of top teams. They beat Lone Tree in a big one, and who else did they beat? They beat Wapello. They got wins over Wapello and Lone Tree. That Wapello game, Highland had to win on a game winner almost at the buzzer, just a few seconds left, and then Lone Tree, they went out and beat them by double digits the other night. So yeah, this could be a big boost for either of those schools.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, and we haven't had Highland on, but they're vastly improved, and we're looking for. I don't know. I'm just looking for a great game tonight. I'm real excited about just opportunities that are coming up here, and I'm also wishing Columbus some good luck tonight, and hopefully they can get that 7th win. And who knows? They could get 10, 11 wins. We're about halfway through the season, maybe even leaning a little bit on the other side of the year. Well, what about do you have any other North teams, or is that just the North teams?
I think that's all the North teams.
Okay, so you got a couple South teams there, and one of them is kind of playing spectacularly right now. Is it Brigham Porter?
Yep.
I'm hearing nothing but good things about this kid. They get a win over Waco on Saturday, and then they get a win Tuesday night over Van Buren. And also, I heard in that game, Coral went down, and he was going to miss at least a couple games. And Lincoln Bainbridge went down in the Fairfield game, and I guess he's out for pretty much the rest of the year. Van Buren pretty short-handed, and to not be able to play a kid as good as Will Coral, that would really make it hard to win against anybody, really, much less New London.
Yeah.
But
well, this is how hard. This is how hard it was. They had the percentage of their points. They scored 50 points, and without those two kids, both freshly injured, they scored 50 points. And Kinnick Millard and Landry Loeffler combined for 44 of those points in that loss. I was there. Those two played really well, but I was like, there's only two kids scoring right now. But yeah, Brigham Porter, he scored 20 in that. New London is one of those teams where I watched them against Mount Pleasant in the first half was only, I think, a 2-point.
Everyone was talking about that first half, that New London played great in that game.
And you look at it and you're like, this is not a 0-win team at all. They attack the basket and they've got shooters. Israel Limley's been the two games I've seen, he's been a knockdown 3-point shooter, but Brigham Porter was just a fantastic with the mid range, with the pull up shots, the fadeaway shots against Van Buren County, where it's like they had no answer for him. I know they're a little short-handed, but yeah, two big wins for New London, and we'll see. Maybe they can turn this into. They have Moravia tonight on the road, and then of course they got the undefeated Notre Dame Nikes Friday night on the road too.
Have you had a chance to see that Notre Dame Nikes this year?
I haven't this year, but they are very similar to last year, so I've seen them. And yeah, that is a legitimate threat to be a big state tournament, run team. So but when we get down to, it's going to take everything to beat the team. I mean, you have to, I don't even know what you have to do. Shea Stevens is, I'm looking, 27.5 points per game. He's just fantastic all around. It's just so hard for them to stick with him anywhere.
Yeah, he's electric, man. I call him the Shea kid, the Willie Mays of basketball. I mean, I don't know, we had him on, and I mean, dude, he had 3 of the sweetest dunks I've ever seen. He just the way he moves around, spins around, and dunks behind his head, and I mean, it just seems like he puts the ball between his legs before he dunks it. He's just electricity in motion. So all these teams, the Van Buren, I think they had 21 kids to start with, then they were down to 13, and I think might be down to 12, at least temporarily for a while. You need bodies, and it's tough sledding sometimes. Although, what was I going to say? Oh, and I did have a little Waco news that I forgot to mention. Waco and Sigourney Thursday night JV game, Round Guy Radio, baby. We're going to make up for that one I missed when I was sick. Have you had the flu, any of that yet?
Not yet, but I'm not a huge flu shot guy. But now I have kids and they get their flu shot, and I skipped it this year, so I'm really putting myself on the line here, where I have to prove myself that I can survive the flu without the flu shot.
Well,
so I'm sure I'm getting it soon though, because every team I cover, the coach will be like, "Yeah, we've all been sick," and I'll still interview all the kids, so it's coming to me.
Yeah, well, it's around, but it doesn't last a long time. But you get pretty sick. But you just got to keep putting along, man, even after all that stuff. But you had let me think. So New London's on fire. Van Buren does get that big win over Fairfield. I'm sure that kind of raised their confidence. But all that Southern stuff, those guys got tough goes. But another team that you cover a little bit, I think, or I don't know, do you cover Sigourney?
No, we cover Keota. We cover Keota and Pekin, and Sigourney's right in the middle, but we don't cover them because it was back when it was split. It was out of our coverage area. I understand it's kind of right. It bumps right up against our coverage area, but we don't technically cover Sigourney. Although I've seen them play in jamborees, I think. Their girls team is fantastic. The Sigourney Kyoto girls and the boys basketball rivalry is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. So Sigurd's having a good year. Kyoto gets this big win over Hillcrest, and I think that Hafley is getting healthy. I know he had that high ankle sprain, and he was pretty limited in his playing time, but it does look like that's coming back together. They must have something going on if they can beat Hillcrest.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that should be big when they come out with the tournament brackets. Kyoto is a team that they always have trouble figuring out where to seed them because they don't play all the North teams. Well, now they've played the first place North team and beat them. Yeah. So we'll see when they come out with that. I mean, I assume that Kyoto is going to be right there with all the North teams like the Williams are.
All right. Fairfield's playing Fort Madison Friday. What's the significance of that?
Well, that's big for, Fairfield's got the one conference win. And you're right. They played Fort Madison last time, totally different Fort Madison team. First off, Darius Foy being there is a huge difference. I mean, you go from being Fort Madison goes from being one of the smallest teams to having the lankiest kid. So you mentioned Guzman. I covered Fort Madison at Mount Pleasant, and it kept looking like Mount Pleasant was going to run away from it. And then Guzman would just he was just unconscious. Whenever they needed a shot, he would keep him in the game. And Mount Pleasant ended up winning the game, but a lot closer than it seemed like it was going to be. So that's huge for both teams need to just stay in the race, just get a win. Both teams, since that close game in Fort Madison, neither team has gotten a conference win. I don't think Fort Madison's got another conference win. They might have got one under the radar that I didn't see, but I'm pretty sure they went 0-5 in the first round of the SEC, and Fairfield definitely went 1-4. So that's huge. First off, for a confidence booster, to get another conference win after it's been so long.
All right. Mount Pleasant, they're slowly starting to put some wins on the board there. They got a win over Fairfield. Was that a game you were at?
Sure was.
Well, let's hear about that game.
Sure was. They beat Mount Pleasant was able to beat Fairfield in what was the last of the SEC, first, I'd say like the first round, the second round, because they play each other twice. 62-42. Now, there's been a huge difference in Mount Pleasant's situation because they're playing without their top two returners from last year. I would call them statistically definitely their top two returners, and Ryan Helling and Noah Lang, who are both hurt. Lang got hurt all the way back in last spring, and Helling got hurt in football. And so, you watched them play and they were an incomplete team. Well, now both those kids are back and they had a tough one the first night out, but the last two have been that New London game and the Fairfield game. Against New London, they combined for 32 points. And against Fairfield, they combined for 40 points. So huge difference for Mount Pleasant right now. And yeah, they have Burlington this Friday night, and that was one of their worst games was the at Burlington game. Burlington really let them have it, beat them by 17 over in Burlington at the beginning of the season. So now you got the whole team back, and you say, let's see if they can go pull up an upset against, if you can even call that now that everyone's back, an upset against Burlington at home on Friday night.
Well, what about Washington Demons? They seem like they are having a pretty spectacular year, although I think they struggled with Burlington a little bit recently.
Yeah, so Washington, they lost their SEC opener against Keokuk, and they lost this last game against Burlington, but in between that, they had a big run where they won, I think, 6 out of 7, and where 3 of those were conference wins. They won they won by double digits against Fairfield and Fort Madison, and they came back to beat Mount Pleasant. And so they play Keokuk at Keokuk on Friday night, and they're hoping to right some wrongs because that first Keokuk game did not go well for the Demons. So we know that when those two teams play, it's like Keokuk's so big and strong inside, and then Washington is very fast and experienced at the guard position, so it's kind of a yin-yang situation. And we'll see. The last couple of years, the second time around playing Keokuk, Washington's looked a lot better. But they're 3-2 in the conference, so that they can get the upset at Keokuk, finally be a team to beat Keokuk in this SEC, then they'll completely change the whole race around where it's not competitive. Otherwise, Keokuk's starting to kind of pull away with this thing.
Well, that's because of Action Jackson Clark down there with leading the league in scoring and rebounding. I mean, he's a beast. They get onto the number 15 spot too in the rankings as Keokuk is kind of booping along. I'm interested. They're going to be playing Oskaloosa here pretty soon. I think first part of next week. That should be pretty interesting games. Well, good golly! Oh, Mid Prairie. There's a school we haven't talked about yet. Tell me what you knew about them.
Yeah, Mid Prairie is currently in the midst of a really big stretch here where they're playing a lot of good River Valley teams in a row. You pull up their schedule. I haven't seen Mid Prairie live yet. I will be seeing them a lot later this month because they're traveling over to play a lot of our other teams. Now on Monday, Mid Prairie hosted Williamsburg. Williamsburg boys team is definitely down. They've only got one win this year, but Mid Prairie put it on them 70-49. Then the next night they had a big one over at Regina, and they just could not put it together at second-ranked Regina. 20-point loss, 63-43. And they've got another team that usually plays better, but has got a rough record in 0-10 Tipton tonight. So they've only lost 3 games. Mid Prairie has. And Jack and I do. He does like a little power rankings thing between our teams, just like a fun little thing, and we kind of consider them the team at the top right now, with kind of battling for that spot with like the Kyotos and Hillcrests of the world. And yeah, we'll see. They've got the Tipton game. They got a lot of road games coming up. They have to go to Tipton and West Branch. They travel all the way down here to Mount Pleasant, Washington, Fairfield in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a situation here for Mid Prairie where every night out is another challenge.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be another exciting night starting tonight as we got the Pekin game. I think we've hit all your teams. Am I missing somebody?
There's only one team left. It's Old Cardinal in the South Central Conference.
Cardinal. Well, how they doing?
Well, I'll tell you what. They had the misfortune of playing the Knoxville Panthers the other day, and Knoxville is an enigma to me because the Knoxville football team was way down, not very good. The Knoxville girls basketball team has been way down, and neither of those teams are winning any games. And all of a sudden, this Knoxville boys basketball team is an absolute force to be reckoned with, and they've taken over the South Central Conference. And so Cardinal had to go to Knoxville Tuesday, and did not work out super well for them. 70-30 loss, but before that, they had won at Twin Cedars. They won at Seymour. They had a very close call last Friday night with Clark, which is a conference game. And this Friday, they will be at home against another tough team, second place Centerville, coming in at 8-2. So Cardinal hoping to play a little spoiler, and they flirted with their first SEC win, but they have not gotten it yet. So we'll see if they can do it. But I'll tell you what, nobody's beating. I don't think anybody in that conference is beating Knoxville, because those guys are. That's the toughest game of the year for any SEC teams who play Knoxville this year.
Yeah. Well, have they got any wins of note or anything this year?
The Cardinal only has gotten the 2 wins, which were both recent. The Seymour they beat by 3. Twin Cedars they beat by 8 the other night. So they so they had 3 games. It was almost a 3-game winning streak because that Clark loss was right in the middle of those. But this is a team that plays. I think the schedule, seeing how they're playing right now, I think that they have a good shot to scoop up some wins as the rest of their conference schedule. There are a lot of teams in that conference that are about Cardinals' skill level that they just hadn't been able to put down. They lost, by less than 15 against Davis County, and they've lost by 10 to Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont. So there's definitely games they could win, but right now it's just those 2 non-conference games that happened at Seymour and at Twin Cedars. So we can get a win for the home crowd here pretty soon.
Any word on how the True Blood kid's healing up? Or?
No, I actually don't know. I was actually going to check to see if he's been eating up those minutes. I haven't seen Cardinal since Jamboree time. I know that Elijah Frazier's been leading them a lot of time. He had 18 in that close game against Clark, where they just lost by 3 there. And they've got some really talented seniors on that team. A lot of their top scorers are the older kids, but so I kind of look for Cardinal to make a little run at least get a couple of conference wins after they kind of went over in the first little round of South Central Conference play.
Oh, well, you've seen a lot of these teams, you know, kind of, New London got a upset win over Waco, and New London or Lone Tree beat 6-4 English Valley team, and Van Buren got that win. So even the teams without the best record and are seem like they're very capable of beating teams, and you can't really take nobody for granted now. Well, I don't have anything else for you. You got any newspaper news or anything like that, or any other Southeast Iowa Union broadcasts you want to talk about?
Oh, we got a bunch of Southeast Iowa Union broadcasts. We've got if you go over to we call it the Southeast Iowa Video Network. Right now, it's Southeast Iowa Live on YouTube, and you can access that you can get through it through our website, and Mount Pleasant Live on YouTube. Now, the Southeast Iowa Live has all Washington home games, and the Mount Pleasant Live has all the Mount Pleasant home games. So, like tonight, will be a little wrestling, a little Washington at Mount Pleasant wrestling, which will be broadcast tomorrow night. Mount Pleasant's at home again for that matchup against Burlington. They'll have both girls and boys broadcast. We got announcers, we got score bugs, we got all that stuff. And then if you want to recap it, you can watch Prep Sports Plus also on the Southeast Iowa Video Network every Thursday at 10. So watch the new episode. I think we're gonna do our fastest. We did like a little Chris Berman fastest 2 minutes in sports thing
Oh, that's
last month.
cool.
I think we're gonna do it again on this next Thursday. I think we're gonna try
What's the new guy's name?
Jack.
Jack.
Mr.
Yeah.
Jack Nolan.
I seen him do some voices that I liked.
He does some funny. He's got the chops to do a few fun little impressions, and
Yeah. Tell him keep doing that. I like that.
yeah, and Jack is he's a Swiss Army knife, because you go to those Washington games, you'll see him up calling the game for the broadcast, and then he'll come down for a quarter and take all of his pictures that he needs to, and that'll do the interviews and everything. So he's doing everything.
No, I'm familiar with the do it all situation.
Yeah.
I'm the broadcaster, the play-by-play guy. I'm the producer. I'm the camera guy, And if I think about it, I take a few pictures, It's hard to remember. I don't always remember the pictures, but I always take some before the game. But it'd be nice to have a few during the game, that I could utilize. But I do what I can, and I scrape by. So I guess I'm doing well. Well, Andy, did you hear about me broadcasting the Cedar Rapids Titans arena football games?
I sure did. I'm excited. I need to look at that schedule. Maybe get up and watch some Titans.
Yeah. I might be able to hook you up with some tickets for helping me out there. I got an idea, though. I might have. I've already got. You know who Mike Daly? Mike Daly played for the Hawkeyes. He's from Fairfield. He's coached Fairfield. And then I was thinking about having him and the Trojans come and maybe take on Marvin McNutt and the Keokuk Chiefs in a 7-on-7 game at halftime. You think that would generate some interest?
That would be well done. If you could get it going, it sure would. That would be a fun little battle. They had a nice little battle this year in 11-on-11.
Yeah, that was quite the game there, and it always is, But having Mike Daly there as a special guest coach for the Trojans, get a little Iowa Hawkeye flavor, get a little, and plus Marvin McNutt was the first ever coach of the Cedar Rapids Titans in their first.
Oh, that's right. I forget about that. I'm looking at that.
But I think that's going to be great for us for spring. But I don't know how long does the basketball season go till about when?
The postseason will start early February.
That's what I thought.
Yep. So there's maybe mid-February is when it really starts, and then I think the state tournament is it's early March. It's like the state tournament happens. It works out where the state high school tournament goes into the NCAA March Madness tournaments. Like you get like a week in between, so you kind of get a little taste of March Madness with the high school state tournament.
Oh,
it's all free now because they don't have a video agreement, so they just put it on YouTube now. First time in like 15 years, you'll be able to watch all those games for free.
All right. Anything else going on?
No, everyone get a paper.
Did you get anything good to eat this week in any of your travels?
Man, that's a good question. Not really. I've had high cholesterol, I did last time I checked. So I been trying to eat healthy. Ate some plain chicken today for lunch, and then tonight I'll probably spoil myself in wrestling. In wrestling, I can just sit in the. I kind of can sit in the bleachers when I'm taking pictures, just because it's you can sit right by the mat. It's different than basketball where you're standing in silence. Maybe I'll get some concession stand pizza or nachos or something tonight and treat myself.
You live a wild life, my friend.
Wildlife. Yep, gotta go crazy today and eat concession stand pizza.
All right. Well, we all got a dream. Thanks for being with us. I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll be catching up with you again in a week or two.
Thank you, thank you.